welcome to FACEHAMMER. It's been a while. We've done 2 events since we recorded. That's crazy.
Been busy, yeah.
Yeah. So in this show, we are going to talk about Mancunian Carnage Resurgence. Was that the title of the event? I think it was.
Yes, because Resurrection was the first of the recent ones we did, and then it's Resurgence.
Yeah. So yeah, we went to a tournament. I took Ironjawz, as we talked about on the Orruk Warclans list show, and Byron still hates himself. So what did you take?
Took exactly the same Slaanesh list.
Yeah,
like literally exactly the same. So not just the same faction, but the same list to a T that I have ran for the last 30 or 35 games, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I now nearly know how to play them. Bonus.
You know how to play them. You just
Yeah, it is. It was a conscious decision actually, not only because of time, but I just wanted to enjoy my games a bit more and feel less rushed. And I didn't want new stuff to think about for that reason, and it was definitely the right decision for all the reasons that I assumed came to be. So yeah,
I think that's the good thing about playing something that's familiar. It's like
you're on familiar
boots,
or
isn't it?
Yeah, or few scrolls or few rules or complex units. I think one of those three is fine, whatever you're doing. So my army's very complex to play, not that it's like rules heavy or anything, but because it's exactly the same one, I should know what I'm doing a bit more with it now.
And that's why I took the Big Cat Energy Arcan list to Warhammer World, which we not going to talk about in this show, but we will. We will talk about it
at some point.
Yeah, got to talk about going Big Hat because it's fun. So
you went Big Hat, but you went Cabbage Hat.
I did. I went double cabbage, super salad, more crushes. But so I've got your list up on the screen, but just to run through it. So it's Lurid Haze.
Yep.
With prize sorcery as your strategy, which is a bit renegade, but I guess they're all bad.
Yeah, they're all awful. So unless you take Glutos or a Gargant, or you take just what I would regard as a extremely bad, overpriced, heavy armor, battle line heavy list, there isn't a good option in Slaanesh.
No. Which I think hurts them, right?
Oh, of course it does. Yeah, I mean, if you play really well, you often lose by narrow margins, and it could literally be that. So prize sorcery. The reason for that is that your battle line Bliss Bobs die instantly to anything, and they attract fire, and they're very difficult to defend from range stuff. And then the Hellstrider's job is to go in and pin. So I know it seems weird to pick two somewhat fragile wizards, but they're not meant to be dying, whereas the Hellstriders often are.
The epitome I think can be kept fairly safe, right?
Yeah, she's got decent range on a spell, and she's often kind of swanning around at the back close to the shrine, dinking wounds onto herself. So I think that it's
got the back cutting us off.
Yeah, it's literally that. Sometimes I'm rolling a 1 and really regretting it, but there's not much of a difference between either of those two. Like you could go for battle line as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've picked the right one for what you've got. So you've got a keeper. This is a 1-drop your army.
Yes.
Yeah. With Shining Aegis with 6-up ward. The command trait and the artifact is an extra wound.
1 extra wound.
And the reroll runs, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, which you have to take because you're in Lurid Haze.
Yeah, mandatory.
Sigvold, the epitome. Born of Damnation, which is the heal, I believe.
On both of them. It's the heal on a 4d3.
Yeah,
and you
not restricted to demons, which is the reason you don't take progeny on the keeper.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all coming back to me now.
All the restrictions.
Yeah, 2 units of Iron Guard. So used to having my cake and eating it with more crushes. No, I'm kidding. 2 units of Vanguard and the Chronomatic Cogs 1995.
1 unit of Bliss Bobs. Battle line.
Yeah. So fairly good, solid. 88 wounds, fat ladies.
It's I mean, the way the list works is you need the Varangard to do work, and you need Sigvold to do work, and if they don't, you lose the game, basically, and you have to play perfectly around them. It's really weird, the list, actually. One of my recent discoveries is that the games you win, often you win without summoning. which seems like a very strange thing to say, but it's an extremely swingy list. So your stuff goes in and does what it needs to and obliterates stuff because it can move fast and it can hit hard if you play right and get your priorities correct. And often you'll feel on top and you didn't need to summon to be where you are. And other games you lost, you summoned anyway and you were still behind. So it's just a huge swing. But they're still fun to play, even though I've not changed the list whatsoever. So I guess that's a good thing. It's a very, very fulfilling list to play with, if not an easy one.
Well, as long as you're having fun, that's the main thing, right?
I am, yeah.
So I took Warclans, Iron Suns in Ironjawz, with the grand strategy of War, which might be the wrong choice, but I took it purely because it was fun, which is to have a battle line or your general in their territory at the end of the game. So the list
is doable, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, you basically, it's like having battle line and your general alive, but the caveat is they've got to be in their territory, which is where you want to be anyway. So, like, I kind of thought if I went like not prize sorcery, obviously. If I went like battle line, my battle line's quite squishy.
Yeah.
And
or you've got monsters.
Or I went Beastmaster, but then everyone wants to kill the Maw Crushers, right? So this kind of gives me a bit of both.
The others you get if you're already winning. This one you could get if you're not winning.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I get the thinking behind it. I think it makes sense.
It's okay. Like, I think maybe just keep Battleline alive might be better because you want people to focus on them, not your Maw Crushers. But then no one really does bother about grand strategy. I don't know.
Not in game. I think
most games I just don't even think about it. I don't even ask my opponent what theirs is normally.
Yeah,
because it's like
try and win.
You just want to win the game, and then it's worry about it later. So I normally ask about turn 3 if it looks like I need to, which normally doesn't with this army, so it's fine. So double Maw Crusher, both with the Rip Tooth 3-up saves. One's a general, obviously, with the Mighty War Leader, which is reroll charges on the War, wholly within 12, with the Amulet of Destiny for a 5-up ward, because, you need to.
In all respects. Rerolling charges is badass. Really good.
Yeah, saves you a command point. So I've got double Warlord and Hunters in this, so I've got extra command points to burn, which allows me to use them up like they're going out of fashion. Yeah. Usually on turn 1.
Heavy hitting turn 1 and like trying to establish dominance and then kind of eke it out.
Yeah. And then I've got another Mega Boss on Maw Crusher with Boss Chopper and Rip Tooth Fist. Now, I actually think I'd probably change this out and give him the more attack weapon and not worry about the save. Purely for what his job is. He's got the Destroyer and Fasten. So he is literally, I want to move 3 times, charge you, pop Destroyer, do as much damage as I possibly can, with then trigger smashing and bashing on the other Mega Boss. So his
defensive role is to wipe out what he's hitting, so you can attack with something else before your opponent does, not for him to take a load of hits back.
It is quite useful because generally the next turn they then go and try and kill him, and you pop Best Day in their hero phase. So it's like so it works. 2 War Chanters to buff the 2 Maw Crushers. Get and beat for a 3d6 charge. Kill and beat or kill a beat for +1 to hit if they're within 12, so you can run or green hand him and then do the thing, because I start the combat phase and start the charge phase respectively. Orruk Weird Knob Shaman with the great big green hand, which I know everyone will go, you never cast it, he's rubbish. He was awesome. I rolled lots of high dice. I know it's random, but I think if you believe in the green hand, it works. And I pretty much got it off every game, turn 1, no problems.
And dispel as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know why. It just seemed to work. Mega Boss on foot, Wizard Hat with Basham Lads, which is the AoE +1 to wound, wholly within 16. On an 8. So hard to cast again, but he's either casting Mystic Shield on turn 1, and then when he runs up the board, you're then just rolling the dice and hoping you get an 8. If it goes off, it's pretty big. If it doesn't go off, meh, okay. And it's an unbind, so it's still good. 10 Hard Boys, 2 units of 5 Brutes, 4 Iron Skull Boys, which are awesome. 1990 in total. Hunters of the Halflanders are 2 brutes. I'd probably change that to the 10 odd boys.
Yeah. What was your triumph?
Inspired, which is reroll wounds.
Okay. Would you change it? I guess you don't need the charge because you got the War.
No.
Ability.
Yeah.
No.
Always take the wounds because you can do with the other stuff with command points. It's only an OBR. I take the other one really. So
yeah. Did you get your triumph often at 1990?
no.
No.
If I did, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
So I either didn't get it or I forgot. So
yeah,
basically no. It's
There's
way more.
There's a lot for you to remember, especially in your hero phase, right?
Yeah.
This is a bookkeeper's orc army in your hero phase at least, or for your first turn at least.
Yeah, it's like
the savagery begins.
Yeah, you just have this one setup turn of gotcha, and then it's then it just goes into straightforward smashing stuff.
You've got way less CPs left as well because you spaff them early.
Well, you're already in position, so you need it to get up the board. But there's a lot of tools in this. It's 10 drops, so probably going first or second up to your opponent. The good thing about this list, if they give you the first turn, you're going to be in their deployment zone on turn 1.
Threat.
If they take first turn, you could get a double. So I don't really care about the turn. It's fast enough not to care. So generally, it's I think a lot of people gave me the turn, and that was a mistake.
And regretted it. And just to be clear, by fast you mean you can activate 2 moves in the hero phase and a charge with a flying 12-inch move cabbage.
It's a move and a charge on one, or a move with the other, but then you get your movement phase. So you could move 3 times with one, 2 times with the other, and you've got a teleport with a rerollable charge with a bonus.
Fasten is
an extra move, so he can move twice in the hero phase,
and then move,
or once and charge.
Got you.
Or could move in the movement phase, then charge normally. So he's very fast. That's just the name.
Absolutely.
I do have a video on this. If you want to know about the combo, you can check out the Ironjawz list tech where I talk about it and I draw pictures. Obviously, we're going to talk about our games, so you're going to see some of it in action. I will say that it pretty much works. It's very good. And I was able to deliver my cabbages every game. And the only game I lost was a bad matchup and I made a mistake. So, but other than that, spoiler, did quite well. So,
wow.
Yeah, didn't shout wow. Yeah. Got told off. I was threatening to say it, and one of my opponents was like, "Don't do it." And I was like, "Well, I want to do it. It's fun." It's not fun. I'm not giving you sports if you do it. I was
solid bet on their part.
Yeah, that was Joe. Just gonna out him. So, yeah, so all good. So, Carnage. It was lots of people, right? So
yeah, lots of people run by Alex. Standard, incredibly enjoyable, well-run affair.
74.
Ridiculous what he manages on his own. Yeah, nearly 80 players.
Yeah, crazy. So I mean, we're going to get into the results probably straight away because we'll put it on the screen, so we might as well talk about it. So it was taken up by Tom Maudsley in his Stormcast.
Yeah, renegade list, like proper renegade list.
And his list for people who, because we've got this TTO, we can actually do this. If it's, it's the formatting is horrendous. So basically, it's like lots of shooting. You can't even read it. It's the Night Judicator Blaze, basically 5 times the prime, some Griffhounds that you get for free, Spirit of the Wind, some endless spells, and his core is basically
Liberators. 2 times libs.
I think it's Liberators, Vindictors, with the call for aid. So it's 78 wounds, 4 drop, Celestial Warbringers, so pretty good. See, it's a bit of a horrible format. So
yeah, how it works is it once a game, all of those Judicators can deliver an AoE mortal wound bomb, and certain scenarios where you put in a box, that is grim.
Yeah.
So unplayed lizards in the diagonal deployment one where you're here and your opponent's here.
Yeah.
And you basically drop,
mortal wound bombs.
It's on a 4+, so even you drop 5 of them, like 2 or 3 of them, are going to take mortal wounds from the 5 everywhere in that bubble if you deploy too tight. So it does that, and then it backs it up with some real flexibility, and it's a techie army to play with, and Tom's very good at that type of thing. So
yeah, and the prime's just amazing.
Oh, he's badass. He is so good.
Comes down, gets his guaranteed 12-inch charge, pops something on the head, then he pops best day in their turn. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Then we had James Tinsdale, 5-0 again with Soulblight, which is a Nagash army with Blood Knights. I'm hoping it shows in a nice format. Yes, it does. So it's basically Castellai, White King on Steed, Fragment of the Keep, Rousing Commander, Nagash, 4 units of 5 Blood Knights, 20 zombies in a battle regiment. So it's a one drop. List. Yeah, it's really good.
Insanely good. Yeah. I mean, Nagash is an army in of himself. He may as well be a separate book because both OBR and Soulblight play completely differently if he's in the list.
But they also, Nagash OBR plays completely differently to Soulblight Nagash.
Yeah, it does.
Which is quite interesting. Then Richie, Ironjawz in 3rd, with just a single more crusher. Went 4-1. So
lost his first game, didn't he? And then just went up.
Yeah. Then just turned it on. Apparently, got his game face on and went. Then I was in 4th with Ironjawz.
Good job.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. Then we've got 3 Seraphon players back to back. So Darren, Mike, and Andy. Then Tom Blacksoil's Beastclaw Raiders in 8th. Kieran Alexander's Demons of Chaos in 9th, which I guess might be Legion.
That's the one. Is that the one that Tom played against?
Yeah, Legion of the First Prince. So
yeah, the
Blue Scribes and Kairos.
Note list. Yeah, it's a note list.
Yeah, I 10 pink horrors, 10 pink horrors, 5 flesh hounds. Yeah, I've played a similar list.
Pink horrors are not fixed. They didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, and then another Seraphon player, Paul Bowden, in 10th.
The strongest army in the game currently, in my opinion, squeaking their way through every single FAQ update and stuff like that. They're just solid across the board, and there's about 12 good lists in there as well. Well, actually, just throw darts at that book and your list is good.
Yeah. So that was the final placings, and then it's probably worth saying about the sort of the painting standards and things like that. So it was all pretty good. Yeah. So then Matt Oswald Haggett got last place, but picked up a painting award, and yeah, it was all good. So this was a couple of weeks ago now for us, wasn't it? So
yeah, it was a little bit ago. The painting standard was incredible. Probably about half the armies there were of a very, very good quality, and a quarter of the armies were, nomination territory. It's really absolutely outstanding. So many gorgeous armies.
Yeah. And I borrowed my army, so just a thank you to Dan George and Darren for bringing it. So
yeah,
so I did lose some painting points because of it, but it's fine. It's fine. Richie can have his podium. It's okay.
Ironjawz won.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Should we roll into games then?
Yeah, we could do that. So I got some photos. I don't have pictures of all your games, but I guess you can kind of just talk about it, and then if you send me the videos you've got, I'll probably splice them in if we can.
Yeah.
So, do you want to start, or should I start? I've got a picture for.
You got a picture for yours, then rock on.
Yeah. So, game 1, I played Reese, which he was using Stormcast. It was quite an interesting start to the game because he sort of introducing ourselves. He's a new player, not really been at events before, and he sort of said, "Oh, where are you from?" So I asked him where he's from, and he said, "Oh, it's kind of this nice way of saying it is the Cotswold, but not Swindon." I said, "Okay, cool. I live in Swindon," so that was a good start to the relationship there. So, no, it was good fun. So, yeah, he deployed basically Star Drake characters in the corner, 2 units of prosecutors, And what you can see from the photo here is that I basically did what I do. So I teleported.
Cabbaged.
Yeah. So this is after the teleport. So I teleported this unit of Ard boys, 12 away. And the reason they're 12 away is because if they're inside 12, if I used Mighty Destroyers, they would have to charge. So I just put them outside of 12. Then you can see the
do it.
Yeah. So the position of the Maw Crusher, this Maw Crusher, here's my general. He's holding with 18 of this Maw Crusher, who's got the Fasten, which is why it's at the back. So then what I did is I popped Fasten, popped Mighty Destroyers from this Maw Crusher, hit these 3 units, moved up. Then essentially, I then moved those units up. Then I charged him, basically turn 1.
You just tried to envelop him, just bubble him, so he couldn't spread out.
Yeah, I charged and popped the Mighty Destroyer. My Destroyer Maw Crusher could get into his 3 characters. So I split my attacks and I killed all 3 characters.
You are damage.
Because damage 6, yeah. So I basically just split, and anyone goes through, kills a character, kills prosecutors, pin the...
Popped your War for the Rend.
Yeah, pop the War, just went all in. I'm only killing, like, I don't have the Star Drake down. I popped the War, actually. I don't think I did. No, I didn't, because I wanted on the Star Drake, and he wasn't able to be got.
Got you.
But then he, in his go, he charged me. Yeah, that was all the photos I've got. But basically, he charged me, my Ard boys with the Star Drake next to the Maw Crusher that just killed his characters. And because I'm playing Iron Suns, I popped a command point, countercharged his Star Drake, who then had to hit my Maw Crusher, didn't kill my Maw Crusher, and then I proceeded to kill his Star Drake back. So
yeah, pretty unforgiving. One of my first games at a tournament game.
Yeah, and then his Vindictus kind of dropped down from the sky, and we had a bit of game with like brutes and stuff just blob in. He failed a couple charges, which were key, but then my Maw Crushers just swept back from the one side of the board to the other and then killed the Vindictors, and that was basically it. So it was a fairly comprehensive crumping from the
decent matchup for you anyway. You've got like against elite armies, you kind of like Lizardman, but you do it in combat. Like you've got a medium amount of extremely high quality attacks. So if you come up against elite stuff, I guess you're generally speaking rubbing your hands, unless it's specifically Archeon or something like that.
Yeah, and like the brutes and stuff are pretty crap, but the mega boss is fairly decent. He kind of runs around, and what was quite nice about the Maw Crushers is as they kill stuff, they get more wounds and more attacks, which generally meant they survived. So yeah, they were. It was a good first game for me. I think that Reese could have been a little bit more push out with the prosecutors to stop me. And I think probably should have brought the Vindictus down earlier. Whereas they kind of think he could brought them on turn 3, which I just think you should have brought them down on 2.
A little too late, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, once I'd gone in and killed most of his characters and stuff at the back, it was kind of like, well, that's pretty much game then, unless the Star Drake's going to do something crazy. But
matchup. Actually, finding new Stormcaster play, I find them very enjoyable. Play against.
It felt like the old, because I didn't really get to do much, so I didn't get to see them in action. To be honest,
they're like quite a clean book. I think they're
they just do what they do.
Less personality than they had, but they do stuff as an opponent. I think they know tricks hugely, kind of do what they do, and they do it consistently across the board. I quite enjoy playing against them.
Yeah, they are good. I think I think they're a solid book. So obviously they've done quite well. They've just won 2 events in a row. So there you go.
Yeah.
But there you go. So who did you play in the first round?
I played Jack, who you ended up playing with Kragnos. And he did really well, unless he was playing people from the FACEHAMMER podcast. I think basically. Again, similarly to what I said about Russ's army, mine can deliver a decent amount of fairly good quality damage, but not a high quantity of it.
Yeah.
So I rocked up against Kragnos, the Whalebiter Gargant,
Bundo.
an all singing, all dancing, wizardy, hit hard metal cruncher Stonehorn, and then the skirmishy, what's the skirmishing model called? The Icebrow Hunter,
Yeah,
and
and his dogs.
eight dogs. Yeah, 4/2/2 dogs. These core having access to the cheapest battle line in all of Age of Sigmar at 3x65. If you make for the dogs, if you go 2/2/2, I don't think anyone else has got it cheaper than that.
Is it not a 60 point somewhere? Must be.
Don't know. No, Lizmen went up. I think they used to have it.
There's 70
Maybe,
now, yeah.
maybe Beast Claw or something, but we won't count them. Not Beast Claw, Beast of Chaos.
Yeah.
And like a decent matchup for me, the scenario was the long ways one. So he started further away, fine with me, because his army was quite scary. And basically Sigvald came on and did have his best day ever. So I gave him first, unsurprisingly. He rocked forwards a little, but not too much, which is probably a good idea. Gave me some longer charges to make. And then Sigvald just came in from the side and launched it in, took Kragnos down to I did quite well with my Bliss Barb shooting. It seems that basically it's mandatory to give them +1 to hit. Otherwise, they just do sweet FA because they hit on 4s. So yeah. I'm always gunning to reroll 1s on whatever their target would be from the spell from the Epitome, and then spending the CP on that, which is people like, oh, they hit all right, but it's really dependent on that investment. Like 3s rerolling 1s is very different to 4s rerolling 1s. So they had a particularly good round of shooting against Kragnos. And again, it's a way to pull out a CP from people earlier, because if I don't have that option, then there's not even a debate. And if they don't spend the CP when I'm shooting, I think I squeaked 3 or 4 wounds through, which is great.
It's pretty impressive with a 2-up armor save. Right.
Yeah, really, really good. They got round 1, which people are often surprised by. So, you only need a couple of 1s and 2s in there, and they do quite a good job, especially if someone's not got enough to save. So they squeezed through a couple of wounds. Sigvald came on, went again. In his first round of attacks, he did like okay, but then Jack was unlucky with his arm saves. I think he got like 8 wounds through or something like that. And in the second, I did amazingly on my attacks. Rolled like 4 6s. I got 3 wounds through on him. His saves were on fire, leaving him alive on a single wound. So Sigvald was an absolute beast. Because he'd come on though, he hadn't best day ever. So I was crossing fingers for him to survive. And he did survive, like an absolute bloody monster. I won the priority, and then there wasn't much left for him to do. My Bliss Barbs took the last wound of Kragnos, who'd healed a couple, or like last wounds, 2 or 3. And then Sigvald charged in. Everything went into the giant, including I think I put like 5 Bliss Barbs on Kragnos to take his last wound off, and then just kind of swept it up, and it wasn't really much of a game at that point. My army would prefer to have a small amount of targets for me to be able to concentrate on and gank. And as long as I can get on that second turn, if you've got Hellstriders arriving and stuff like that, some of my stuff will die because it's not very resilient. But I like to put enough things around something that it can't do anything regardless of who wins the priority roll. So fairly solid game for me there.
Yeah. I think the problem when you've got like those big free characters, the giant doesn't do an awful lot of damage.
No, not a huge amount.
And like they're quite resource pointed. You kind of like a little bit hungry on using stuff like all out defense because they all want it, but you can give it to one and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, and you can cascade your best day ever, but then you're not generating a CP.
No.
Unlike a full Gargant list,
which gets everything.
Yeah, just gets everything for free. You don't get to do that, and you only had the 1 wizard in there, not 2. 1 cast against a dispel, it's just equal dice on who gets lucky to get it off or to stop it. Yeah. Interesting that like badass looking army as well. Like looked the most destruction looking army I've ever seen in my life, and really fun to play against. Yeah, and quite fun to play with. So really enjoyed it. It's a shame he didn't get to have more of an opportunity at the game, but the priority was just a very important one, and I got it, which is my army in general, to be fair. Yeah,
well, Slaanesh kind of needs it, doesn't it? So
yeah.
So that was both of us on a victory. Then I ended up playing against Marathi Boat Snakes with Joe.
Yeah, you were next to me, weren't you? You and Joe.
Yeah,
and then me
having
and
having a laugh.
Yeah, it was great. Like really nice.
Lots of winding each other up. No, it was good. I have never beaten Joe. I don't know why. He seems to be like my boogeyman, and this was no different. Now, I made a bit of an error. So, because the snakes essentially shoot twice, and they're just going to go delete, 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 delete.
Yeah, whatever they pick.
I'm like, I need to be aggressive. So I went first.
You were given first.
Yeah. Which was kind of crazy. I don't know what for whatever reason. Okay, this is interesting. For whatever reason,
Technology.
that is, my technology is being a bit funny. Right, we're back in the room. Sorry about that. So, yeah. So in this picture here, I wanted to essentially get into this snake unit at the back. So I thought, looking at this gap here, I might be able to charge and then swing in and then hit here. But actually, there wasn't really enough space, which I should have checked. Also, I kind of forgot about redeploy, which then means you had to rethink my turn, but I'd already committed. So the idea was to green hand the Ardboys, and then basically move up, call the war, charge in. But the problem I had was that I was never going to get to the snakes. And with Marafi on the table, it's kind of difficult because she can just pin my 2 more crushers to shoot off my army. And you have 2 units, 20 witches. It's quite a hard matchup for me.
Yeah, you can't take her out in a one-er, which is an important part of what you do.
No, exactly. And although, like, on my first turn, I did get the teleport of the Ardboys off, and I did the move. And what I did is I used Fasten and Mighty Destroyers, so I didn't have to. He wouldn't get the chance to redeploy. But in hindsight, I should have played this bit differently. I did charge in, as you can see from here, and I couldn't quite get what I should have done is charge the other Maw Crusher into the witch screen, fought with him first to delete it, then piled in with the other one.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And so if I had done that, so if I had basically, this is just me being, I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, I'm having a bit of an issue here. So,
oh, good. I presume there was enough inches that you could have reached the stuff behind.
Yeah, because if you look at here with the pile in here, I would have got there, but I couldn't pile in because these witches blocked me from the table edge. But if this Maw Crusher had gone in, and these guys had gone in, and what I could have done here is deleted the screen with my guys, and I would have got to fight with the Ardboys and that to kill them. Then I could have piled in, so I could have roared them so they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Stomp them to try and do more mortal wounds. Then piled in, hit the snakes, delete the snakes. That would have killed the 2 main threats.
Yeah.
But
you just have to squidges deployment zone for the rest of the game.
I messed up the delivery of the crushers. Basically, that was my error.
You've got to, like, there's less priorities in destruction, but what's there is very important. One of those is target priority and sequencing. Like, you just gotta, if you don't get it right, then people get to run around you and be incredibly annoying.
Yeah, and then I then basically, although I wiped out the witch elves, almost killed the other unit. So you didn't have to kill the Doomfires because I split my attacks. It then meant that he had a Cauldron and Marafi and the snakes, and literally over the game they just deleted everything.
That's absolutely enough.
And as the game went on, I just lost all my men, so that was a loss. But I messed that first bit up, which, you know, I should have played differently. But it was still a good game. It was a lot of fun. But I learned a lot. So it's what it is.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I have a somewhat similar story. Well, so I have well, I'll present the scenario and then I'll have a bit of a chat about it. So I play Tom Lees with quad Gargants, and that is bordering on impossible for my army, depending on scenario. But most of them are also, if someone does what they should, very, very, very difficult. And I never want to turn up to a game and go, oh, I've lost. Try to not lose. I would always like to try to win. Tom did the sensible thing. 1 over here, 3 here in a triangle, which I hate. It's exactly the right play. So and it's just like, oh, screw that. Whatever I do, I can't gank one, and he's got backup, and I've got to be really careful of the 3 inches around them and stuff like that. And if you lose the priority in that situation, if you have committed, very difficult. If you have committed and you win, you're actually in a potentially good position. But the really unforgiving thing about this matchup, or just playing this army in general, is if you can't take down a Gargant a turn, and this is the difference between a 4 list and a 3 list, you've probably just lost. Unless there's objectives everywhere and they're really spread out, or something else like that. It's very, very hard for me, and I need to play this matchup again and just see, try and do some weird stuff. I don't know, like deploying 2 corners or something like that. It's incredibly hard. So I just need to put some more thought into it. Not taking anything away from Tom. He did everything. Everything he did was exactly the most annoying for me. So he played it perfectly, really.
Because you've got the 6 objectives, the 3 of them probably go into the middle of 4 of the objectives.
Exactly.
And the other one just goes ping pong between the 2 on the edge.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what he did. Yeah. I saw that. I was like, well,
I mean, like, so if you form like the triangle here and the other giant here, you've got the flexibility to attack here, and then these guys can attack like these ones. And with the burn mission, because the problem is this mission's kind of a bit annoying anyway.
Yeah.
But I think with the Mega Gargants counting as so many, it's so hard for you to actually burn anything. Yeah,
it's tricky. Mystic Shield makes a big difference as well now. So everyone's got 1 or 2 wizards in there and shit like that. So yeah, hard. Siggy failed a 6 charge on a reroll as well. Always feels bad, and eats a CP at the same time, which feels even worse.
It's like not only do you drain a resource, but you also don't get anything out of it.
And the keeper can't activate herself. She can't activate the Vanguard. So like there's not much. It's how I built my list. I know how it works. I know the restrictions of it, but you don't have the option to go twice with something else, and you're not going first with Sigvold and then going, so you don't get 2 activations. So if he doesn't make it, it is huge, always. Like really, like it's a colossal deal if Sigvold doesn't make it in. Because it's like I don't get my version of smashing and bashing, basically.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, a comprehensive loss to me. So I played 1 Mega Gargant game 1, 4 Mega Gargants game 2, and there were only 3 Mega Gargant players. Sorry, Sons of Behemoth players at the event. So the chances were quite low of me playing another.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Spoiler. So you lost that game.
Comprehensively, and I'm like, I felt like I didn't give Tom much of a game of it, which always feels bad. I gave him the major, which felt like the right thing to do, given that he'd wiped me like pretty much immediately. Then we played it out to see what the options would have been, which was useful. So I played around, like summoning a demonette, sending them in whatsoever, and I misplayed our continuation after he'd already won as well, and learnt a couple of things there, which was nice. But still, really hard, like really, really hard. The things that can kill Archeon sometimes don't kill a Gargant. Tricky.
Yeah. It's harder to kill a Gargant. My 3rd game.
Yeah.
So I got to play Seraphon.
Lucky boy.
In Apex Predators. So unfortunately with this mission, you kind of got to like stand your models on the objectives, and I want to be in there in deployment zone bashing stuff in the head.
Yeah.
Now, this mission was a weird game because the way that that he set up, I had this opportunity, and this was
just play it like Nurgle and put screens of crap in front of your dudes.
But he had like Saurus Cav and no skinks.
Wow.
So, and he had like double Carnosaur, a Steg, And I thought, well, actually, he's got 3 monstrous heroes, plus he's got some Sallies, plus he's got a skink priest, plus a Slan, plus. So I was like, actually, and he had do you know the skink or the little throne thing, the star seek, steer, whatever he is. So he had like 6 heroes, and I was like, and 3 of them are monstrous. I'm like, this is actually gonna be quite tough.
Yeah.
But
you win those 1-on-1s, but you don't want to get 2-on-1.
Yeah, and I did something silly because I basically went, I'll take the first turn. I went, I'll just take monster contest objective or whatever, or like, you know, like take an hold 2 objectives. So I thought, well, all I'll do is put more crushers on and right. So now what happened was I then cast Green Hand. I thought, well, I'm never going to get this off. He's just going to unbind me, you know. Rolled an 11. I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to get to Green Hand. Didn't stop it. I was like, oh, what do I do with that? And I'd already put the damage on the more crushers and stuff. So I was like, so I had like my 2 war chanters, so he could buff him, and my shaman is sort of tucked in there, and he can teleport the Ard boys. And I was like, well, the Ard boys don't really do anything, right? I mean, where I put my fastness quite a long way, but I looked at how he's set up, and I saw this here, where he's got these 2 monsters on the flank, but nothing protecting them. Because I'm so far away, he's like, well, I've got screens of Cav in front, but nothing on the side. And I was like, there's 2 monsters there. That's 2 things I need to deal with for the mission. Yeah. Plus puts him on loads of trouble and opens up the door to the Slan party cube, whatever you want to call that thing. So I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to score my objective. I don't care. I'm going to go bash something. So I decided to go for it. Oh, spoiler on that photo. It worked. Killed them both.
Nice. With Ard boys?
No, with just the cabbage.
Okay.
Because it charged both. I popped Mighty Destroyer and I split my attacks.
Again, damage 6.
And it pinned a unit of guys, but it basically was like, well, then in his go, he could take his so he was like, well, I need to kill that Maw Crusher, so he could take his character on the other Carnosaur, run around the back of the temple and kill me, which is fine because I've killed 2 of his monsters. He kills my guy that's already got his value. Then my other Maw
end up on an objective at that point as well,
and and he's not contesting. And then what I did is with this mission you can kind of tag and go because it's not model, it's player. So what I did is, if you can see here where I've got my Maw Crusher, he's tucked this objective. I've got my Mega Boss in the middle. Ard boys form in a wall, like I'm going to protect the middle. I've got my other characters ready to come up onto the objectives from the back. So what I did is I basically moved onto the objective and I moved my general off the objective by using a Mighty Destroyer move, then a normal move, then a charge, and I countercharged his character, which is now basically my Maw Crusher replaced my other Maw Crusher because he killed it. Then the other Maw Crusher went back to where he died, and killed his general on Carnosaur. So I literally just killed all 3 of his monstrous heroes. Yeah. My Iron Skull boys made a charge into his Skink Priest in the back and killed that too.
Nice.
Then I'm like, so he's got a Starseer and a Slan left, and I'm all up in his grill at the moment.
And you're up on point.
Yeah, I'm scoring. He's not got anywhere near the objectives yet. And then literally it just became, I ended up with 2 units of brutes punching the Slan in the face in the temple. The Mega Boss just chewing. I just abandoned the objectives at this point when I don't even need them. And I literally just went through it, and I was like, well, now it's basically game, because I've killed all the heroes. I've scored. He was shooting me, I was healing, so it was back and forth. I got Green Hand off a couple of times. So it was just a bit like it was kind of comprehensive at that point that that first turn move basically won me that game. So I traded I basically traded 1 Maw Crusher for 3 of his monstrous heroes. And they're the only things really that can kill my Maw Crushers on the charge. And although he's got shooting damage, he doesn't have enough to kill me.
It's quite it's not that's on the more balanced side of the cement list, isn't it? That one. Yeah,
it's not optimal. He knew the mistake as soon as we started, and I went, well, I'm just going to go in there, and he was like, he tried to all out defense, and but I roared it, and then it was a bit like I can't really do much about this, and damage 6 and damage 4 on the beast, and it just went through and killed it all. A bit lucky to kill them both, but you just play for it. You just play for it. Yeah. If it goes off, it goes off. So
you're playing a combat army, you've got to exploit weaknesses and deployment. It's one that has to win.
Yeah. And I don't think he expected it. And to be honest, though I got the teleport off, I didn't need the teleport. I could have done it normally. The only reason I didn't... Well, the only reason the teleport was useful is that he couldn't redeploy. Because I teleported outside of 12, then I used the faster move to move 3 away, and he couldn't redeploy the cavalry to block me. Because it's a hero phase. So that allowed me to get the charge in, which then he couldn't block me. So if I'd done it in the movement phase, he could have redeployed around and blocked me. So
valid.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, Lizman are always hard.
Yeah, and reducing my damage by 1 because he's coalesced or whatever it is massive.
Yeah,
it's horrible. So it took as long to chew for him than I thought, but luckily he didn't have lots of skinks because that would have caused me a headache, I think. So
yeah, or multiple stakes or multiple basties because they're both very.
Oh, Bastillodons, yeah, hate them. So yeah, Carnosaurs, I can handle those. That's fine.
Yeah, they don't do extra damage to you. Imagine if they did 3 instead of D3.
Yeah.
Okay, so you done some smashing and bashing.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping for not Gargants, and I faced 4 more Gargants.
Yay!
So excited. Went and said some nasty things to Alex.
It's not his fault.
No, it's not. Not a forgiving day 1 for me though. So yeah, I rocked up and quad Gargant, not 3 and 2, which is a very different matter for me. And I feel like I have a chance against. Also, it's just less opportunity for depravity, especially if one deploys far away. I can get 3 from my opponent. It's awful. It's horrible. I've had my turn 1s before where I've got 13 depravity. If people have got a lot of units and both sides lose a bit, but you don't lose a bit, you lose a unit, and then you get none. And if they hit you first, you got none from them. So Gargants are very hard for multiple reasons. You have some pictures. I don't know which ones you have up on the screen because I cannot see them. Beautifully painted army.
Let me try and find your photos. Hang
on. Painted by one of his mates, actually, who was there as the only other Slaanesh player. Had a very effective looking Slaanesh army. And that lot, their club, I forget what they were called. They were from the south, but they were all lovely. Forget the name of their club. But really, really nice group of guys. Pretty awesome looking force of Gargants, I must say. Like,
is that where he had like one that was in white?
Yeah, one that was in like Game of Thronesy. Ice Walker style. So diagonal opponent. Deployment. Sorry, I deployed mega aggro and gave him first, I believe. Let him get up, but I don't want to lose. I don't want to get doubled by them. It's just a horrible, scary, awful idea. Not only that, but given where he started, Siggy was going to get an opportunity of a closer charge if he sent one of them for the bottom objective in the picture, which is a big deal. I don't want it to be more than a 9. Single gets +3 to the charge, so a 6 is much more reliable than a 7. So he blobbed up, as you do, and then I went absolutely balls deep on everything, going super, super, super aggressive. So Sigvald rolled in the Bliss Barbs again. CP spent on them to buff their hit roll, and Sigvald and Hellstriders and Varangard went for 1 Gargant, and I just left the 3 in a blob in the middle of the table because again the triangle is very, very difficult for me to deal with. So sent Varangard over to 1 bit with the Epitome, whose vanilla 12 move is wonderful for reaching stuff in scenarios like this. I mean, let's be frank, his army's amazing and a bad matchup for me, but this was a somewhat, this scenario leveled the playing field slightly. Not that he's still got more heroes than me and stuff.
I was going to say, I guess it kind of forces him to split up and stand there, right? Not that he did. Looks like he put 3 in the
Yeah.
middle and 1 on its own, which is the one you
The
ganked.
nice thing here is that the big thing is that his don't count as 35 points of hero; they count as a hero.
Right.
So you know, I'll take anything in this matchup. I really, really will. So I went in and turboed the living shit out of one of the Gargants. It took a lot. Sigil went once, went again. Gargant didn't die. Keeper went. I think 2 of the Varangard were able to go on the initial pile in.
Yep, and then
that
3 after.
Yeah, well, that took it out after the Hellstriders had gone because he'd already fought, and because there wasn't anything else of his in combat, which feels very different. You know, you're always really worried about what's going on over
He basically
here,
put like 1,500 points into like a 500 point model and just about killed it.
Yeah, it's like playing against Siege Vanguard, where I've put 1,700 points in and just about wiped them out. So yeah, 2 signaled activations later. It wasn't a high charge, which makes a big difference. You know, it would have made a difference if
I guess he's tucked in the
something.
Picture. He's tucked under the Nimbus Oculum, I think.
Yeah,
he is. The edge of his base. So
yeah, he's snuck in. He's doing work though, and I think the keeper finished him off or something like that.
Wow, it's always good to be finished off.
Yeah, exactly. Slaanesh do it the best. I believe I got the priority. Maybe I didn't get the priority actually. I think he the position that I put my Vanguard in, because I didn't need to use the second pile in, my keeper and
was kind of shielded. Yeah.
Somewhat, yeah. So he didn't have the juiciest of targets. He also had to run around the Vanguard that I think I redeployed to be as annoying as possible, to just kind of 3/4 bubble wrap the epitome. And he didn't have a huge amount of shooting, so I was just trying to last as long as I could, really. But Sigvald didn't die, which is a big deal, always. And then because he'd got the priority, I got to roll in with the threat of me getting it again. And that was kind of enough, really. If they can shoot every turn and concentrate fire on one thing, you don't generate like a drop of depravity, which always feels grim. But against Gargants, again, pulling out CPs early is really, really helpful for my army. So he was either spending CPs or just having to make a horrible decision where it's like, no, like, I won't do that. And you shoot the one that he didn't best day ever or whatever.
Are you tempted to like split though on all 3? Like just be like a split fire? Because it kind of, you can't heal all 3 of them, and you can't defensive 3, and you get into depravity. I don't know, is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, the healing is not the issue. You're just after the depravity, really, because if you do the maths, if something's got a 4-up save, what do you have? You have 21 shots that hit on 4s, rerolling 1s if you spend a CP, and sometimes you don't get the rerolling 1s off. So 10 go through, and you just do the maths and you half it each time for their save.
Yeah.
And you end up with like 4 wounds or something. If you get lucky, you might get 7. No, it's great if you do. But like, generally speaking, you want at least 10 depravity to drop something on the board that makes a difference, which for me is 20 demonettes, or 30 demonettes if you get 12. Against Gargants, if you're wiping them out, and if they're wiping the thing, like if they get 1 activation against you again, they bop something on the head, like nuke it, and you don't get any depravity on your side apart from the one that you ping off the shrine. And if you run your characters away from the shrine, like, you're lucky, even if you split, to get 3 depravity a turn.
Yeah,
it's just not worth doing it. I think there's some different lists in Slaanesh that are there and can effectively generate depravity. I think it's a complete and utter trap, because you end up doing some weird shit on the board that often ignores the objectives and gets you basically bummed, which Slaanesh are up for. But you don't win.
I've seen people do that with, like, they talk about taking that crusher and hitting their own Fane and then all that kind of shit. But
yeah, there is some, and that you can ally in some weird Nurgle drone units that damage things on a 2+ at the beginning of the hero phase and stuff like that. But
it's a law of reflections, isn't it?
If you didn't deploy your screens in the right place, or you can bleed scribes and dump a spell and some stuff like that, then you end up doing that. And if it's D3, you might take off an entire Hellstrider and another one, D3 mortals, that is. So I think that there is probably a middle ground, but the book is overpointed generally, so you already feel like you're behind. And if you're not putting all of your stuff in the right place, I feel against a good opponent and a strong list, you end up you're worrying about like, great, you get to summon something great at the end of your turn too. If your opponent won priority, you're probably dead.
Yeah.
So just it like there's some viable ways to do it, but I think you have to play your tits off and have a good matchup and have your opponent not do things perfectly for it to work out. So yeah, against Gargants, it's always an uphill battle. So I got pretty lucky in this one. Like I said, with the scenario, one of my things counted the same as one of his, which feels nice.
And you had probably had enough because you got the position on the points early.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if he'd put 2 giants on 2 different objectives, you'd probably never get them off, right?
Yeah, it's hard. Or he'd spread it out. Again, the deployment, it let a lot of stuff get in the middle of the table quite fast, so I could pick and choose where I was going. And the Varangard got to be sacrificial rather than being required as, a pivotal part of my game plan. So yeah, it was an interesting game though, and nice to beat them for the first time. Probably like 6th or 7th game.
I like the imagery of you're just like, not Gargants again. You're just like the game face, just no, not again.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Well done.
Thank you.
Then we had a nice Saturday night, bit of a quiz.
Oh, it's great.
Fun
yeah,
times.
Always a nice time there. Good crowd at Alex's events always as well. Absolutely lovely.
Yeah. And then we rocked into day 2.
Day 2. Nice forgiving game for you first. What did you have?
I played Jack with his Kragnos Frostlord giant dog list. And honestly, this is a bit of a gift, this game, because I can dictate the matchup. I can delete anything in this army.
Yeah.
In theory.
Did he start with dogs on the table? Because he didn't.
He started with 2 2s on the table.
Okay, yeah. I felt against me, he should have started with his army on the
screen,
table.
But
yeah.
Not really a screen.
Yeah, so you're screening like 7 inches in front of the target or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, you if he pushed them out, but he basically moved. I think he wanted the turn to kind of create a defensive formation. So he basically moved up and created like a little like Kragnos flanked by the giant and the guy, dogs in front, can't get him. I think actually it was just his deployment. Yeah, it was his deployment. So so I basically went. I just looked at him and went, I could just get into him because I literally could move this Maw Crusher here, which is my guy with Mighty Destroyers, and then move here, then charge Kragnos, pop his thing. This Maw Crusher can move here, and I teleported this unit of Ard Boys here with a charge here. So effectively, I charged on turn 1, both Maw Crushers and 10 Ard Boys into his army, popped the Destroyer, went first into Kragnos.
Wow.
Yeah, so extra rend, damage 6, damage 4 on the mount. I think, Kragnos is going to go down, no problems. Then he had four armor saves to make, passed them all. And then I rolled really badly and I got 2 wounds through with the damage 6, so I did 12 wounds. Didn't kill him. I was like, this is
scary,
bad, because now he's probably going to kill me. And he didn't. And then I was like, oh dear. So like, the thing is as well, what meant by that is I didn't get to smashing and bashing.
Yeah.
He then basically is his go, obviously. So his giant was into me. The kind of his Frostlord was fighting my other 2 guys and Kragnos, but that kind of forced him to fight with Kragnos.
Yeah.
And he didn't kill me because I best aid.
Yeah.
And all out defense. When I all out defense, I hit all 3 units. So I was like, well, I'm not dying. Survived. I killed. I didn't kill Kragnos with my Maw Crusher, but I did kill the Frostlord. And then my general, I won the turn roll, and then my general went into his Kragnos, and my brutes went into his giant and basically dropped his army. Yeah. So he lost all of it, and all he had left was the dogs and the hunter off the screen. And I was just able to then, like, that's it, basically game. So I lost.
Clone of my game with him, basically.
Yeah, and like honestly, like, I lost the one Maw Crusher, so like you can see that he dropped my Maw Crusher from his giant, but then like I was able to kill his giant with my counter charges and stuff. So like literally, I just was like, well, that's it then. My shaman was on a point on his own, bit of a fun moment. He charged in the ice brow and the dogs into my shaman. I popped all out defense, then finest hour didn't kill him, and he just stood there being weird. Like, I'm weird. Made all his saves, then rolled a 1-1 to hit.
Okay.
And I said, well, he's weird. Don't touch him. Like, you don't want to go near the. He's just a weird guy. Just don't go near him. Again, another game where I got green hand on turn 1. Every game I pretty much got it off turn 1. I just think if you set up outside, you can set up whatever you want to green hand outside of unbind range. Roll a 7.
Play it like it's a bonus. Yeah.
And you just roll it. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And it was like, cool.
If not, you can move into range for a dispel because your opponent often let you go first.
Yeah. And or you know, and to be honest, going first with this army is great because I found that although you've got a chance to be doubled,
You like the 3.
I actually like the fact that you've got more chance to win the turn roll.
Yeah, to take the objective.
Because you win on draws, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, and you put them under so much pressure that they kind of have to win the turn roll to
Your
have a
stuff
game.
needs to be in the right place as well, right? I presume you weren't deploying exactly the same way every game with this. You were picking your targets because you got enough moves to reach everything.
Yeah.
So by your last 2 jobs, which can be your 2 cabbages, and you can leave yourself 4 holes, you can be going for exactly what to be going.
I think a lot of my opponents made a mistake giving me first turn. Like, I was like, I set up out of range of stuff. They weren't doing anything to me. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'll give you the turn because I can't do anything to you. But I was like, yeah, but I can do stuff to you. So do you want to do that? And like
how I won with Frost Phoenixes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the start when everyone was obsessed with the double.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 years into AOS or whatever, I'd always do that, and I was shunting them forwards and getting them there, and then they were very tanky when they were there. Didn't do too much damage, but they pinned stuff.
So in my head, it's like I can dictate the turn, and if I go in and I pin you with Ard Boys, and I've done enough damage with my Maw Crushers to kill pivotal stuff, you can have the turn. You're probably I'm going to then best day. You're probably not going to kill me.
Yeah, you can give it away. That's super powerful.
Then it's like it's a turn roll, and if I win the turn roll, that's pretty much game. If you win the turn roll, like, there's still game to play.
You either wipe you, or you're in a position where it's super powerful to be able to hand it to them, which would mean like you're already in combat, so you're like, well, I'll wipe that stuff out, or again, your counter charge. It's an extremely strong army as far as the priority roll goes, because counter charging and all that good stuff.
It was good. It was a good game. So
lovely.
What did you play?
I played Nigel, who is lovely, and Seraphon, who can get in the fucking bin. My God. All right, I'll keep this short. Nigel could have turned up with 500 points. He won the first 2 priorities. He could have tabled me with a Skink Priest, a Skink Priest, a Stegodon, and a Basti for 1 CP a turn. But he was shitting out 5 CPs a turn with his ridiculous army. It's not like Nigel's an absolute pleasure as an opponent. He's super clear. He knows his stuff. Just like absolutely A1. That list can get in the bin. Literal non-game strategy. It's what I'd be doing with it. Pop Gotrek in the middle. Run him as fast as possible. Off you pop. Divide the board. 2 lizards here. Large lizards here. 1 large lizard here. Slant the back. Rolling 3d3. 4 ups make a CP.
Yeah.
Every turn. Skink Priest giving one of the Stegs run and charge and +1 to hit, and for another CP, not another CP, on a 3+ you get +1 to hit, 1 CP run and charge, and 1 CP allows it to shoot a second time. My keeper survived on its oil artifact wound, turn 1, and I went in. I'm doing 1 damage less. That really bloody hurts me. Like a colossal amount.
Hurts everyone.
D3 -1.
It's horrible.
Amazing armor saves. Second on. I'm putting up my crest. I got +1 to save.
What is that rule? I've never heard that rule.
Pick 1 target. You get +1 to save against.
I'm going to turn my head towards you.
I'm using my crest.
Oh, what is that? I never even heard of it. I was like, what is this rule?
A Skink Priest is 80 points.
I know, it's ridiculous.
I pay and on a 3+ it gives 1 bonus.
They're the new hags, mate.
Yeah, oh, they are insane. The army is insane. It's incredibly reliable. It's very good. It's very well rounded. Its shooting phase is one of the best in the game, just on the down low, and then it gets into combat and it mullers you, and you don't muller it. So yeah, like pretty tricky. Goching main 11-inch charge, Nigel on the priorities, but without any exaggeration whatsoever, he could have turned up with 2 monsters, 1 character, and he could have tabled me in 3 turns. So there's definitely some stuff that, you know, maybe I have to deploy super techie in the corners or something weird like that. But his stuff gets bonus damage against me as well because I'm a demon, just to make it even better. So yeah, one of the best books in the game in terms, you know, efficiency and what it does and reliability against one that struggles, and the one that's already good gets bonuses against the one that struggles. So, and Goat Trick in there, wonderful, great.
Just what you need, like the extra little bit.
It's the least I've been in a game in Age of Sigmar ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my game. But Nigel's a lovely opponent, like absolutely perfect. And you know, he's been playing that list for ages, so he did everything right as well, which made it even worse.
So it's a hard bit when you play someone who knows what they're doing, plays it really well, but you also feel up against it from a list point of view.
Yeah, and it's just really nice, so you can't even hate on him.
Yeah, you can. It's nice. Yeah, it's fine.
I just sack him.
Yeah. Don't do that. You get in trouble.
No.
Then he beat me with Seraphon again. Genshin's review. Like, no. Anyway.
Yeah, I do think that the Giant matchup and the Seraphon matchup, I need to ask someone if they mind giving me like 3 re-rack games where I just try a couple of things out turn 1 and 2 and see if there is anything I can do. Rather than bitching and moaning and being unconstructive, I should try and do something about it. So
you might need to
go to
you might need to go back to the drawing board with your list a little bit, maybe.
It suffers against a lot of other stuff. If I start doing weird things,
I still think Glutos is the key.
He makes lists boring, so I think I would make my list arguably better, but less enjoyable to play, which is the reason I'm playing it. So, you know I'm moaning about something and then saying, oh, I don't want to make it better. But I don't want to make it better in that direction.
Still take Sigvold. It's fine.
Yeah, but like Glutos, if Sigvold can't go twice, you lose a lot of his power because he's so much better on the charge.
Sinestro as well is good.
He's like 4 times better if he's on the charge and going twice.
Yeah.
It's not just twice as good, because on the charge he gets his charge roll. Sometimes you've re-rolled that and it might be a 10. So, 20 high quality attacks versus him going once, let's say it's 9, and then not being, getting hit back when he's got 5 and not going twice again. There's a real, it's somewhat of a trap because you end up spending points on Sigvold and a keeper, which is about 700 for what Sigvold can do. So there are some good lists out there that don't have him, but I really enjoy it. So just have to.
I think he's got to take him. He does too much that nothing else does, and he's not overpointed.
He's efficiently pointed. Him and the Hellstriders are great for their points. Like really, really good. I feel they're good. Maybe if I was in another book, I wouldn't. But they do feel very, very solid for their points.
That's right. They'll go up in Christmas, and then the rest won't come down, and you'll be like, cool. I've got a bin here. Hang on, just want to put your army in it. I'll wait till you sell it, and then we'll adjust it down again. And
I'm never selling it. I love it too much. It's difficult. So yeah, at this point, I'm on 2 wins, and my aim for the event was to beat my previous events, 2 wins and 1 draw. So the last game has to work. All my Slaanesh dreams are going to be dashed.
The wet dreams. The wet dreams of winning free.
Nothing wet about 9 Gargants day 1, mate.
Doing dry.
Drinking on iron filing.
Your
last game after I've moaned about Lizard Slaves, what was your last game?
I got to play Mike and the Cruel Boys.
Cool.
Which I was super excited about because
you want to learn about them,
I want to see what they do, and probably unfortunately for Mike, I know the army very well.
Yeah, you've been
because I've played a lot with it, and it's very similar to. It was big yellers. I kind of knew what everything did. I knew all the rules. I was like, I know how this is going to play. I know that they're good in turn 1. You don't want to give them the re-rolls. You kind of want to wait a battle rounds. They don't want to get too close. They've got optimum ranges. If they move, they get double shots on the bow boys. He had a balanced list, so he had units of Gut Rippers. I haven't got a picture of the early game. The picture I've got is actually at the end of my turn 1, which looks like it's at the end of turn 3, but that kind of just ruins the illusion a little bit. So he set up. You have to excuse. I'm going to draw on this. I know you can't see it, Byron, but he set up like Bolt Boys here, Bolt Boys here, Bolt Boys here. He had like one unit quite far forward. Gut Rippers here. These Gut Rippers were here. These Bolt Boys were here. He was here. Breaker Boss was also here. He had another Breaker Boss here. Now, what happened was I did what I was like, I shouldn't go in turn 1 because he's better in the first turn. I'm -1 to wound. He's got, you know, better shooting. He gets to reroll, you know. But I was like,
be on the receiving end of the opposite of that though. If he gets the priority, do you?
No, and I thought
at all.
I set up outside of range of everything, so he had no game. And I looked at this deployment, and I was like, if this combo comes off, he's basically done. And I just went, do you know what? I'm just going to take the turn and do it.
I mean, like game 5, you're doing fairly well. If it gives you a chance of doing really well, you do it, right? Yeah.
So same thing. You move, might destroy a move. I didn't give him the chance to redeploy in the middle with the Fasten. The Ard Boys went up in the hero phase who teleported to a green hand. They moved. I moved my general up, called the war, made the charges, did some funky stuff like stomped on things, pylons, got into all the back of his army, took a stand and shoot on the main Maw Crusher from one of his bolt throwers. Didn't do a lot to me because it's fine. It just took the shot, and he tried to fish for the mortal wound to roll a 1, so he missed. Didn't do anything.
Yeah,
which, you know, it's fine. I then basically went in and deleted a lot of stuff. Then his turn was basically going to be he went for bring it down on my main dude, which I did best day. This is after he shot me and he's moved. So he's moved the Gut Rippers, this guy here. And then when he moved the Breaker Boss, I redeployed and rolled a 5 to go backwards, making the Gut Ripper charge quite long. They then failed the charge, and he burnt a CP on a reroll and still failed it.
Always feels bad. It's a big swing.
Good value. The Breaker Boss and the Sludge Breaker went into my best aid War Crusher with Mystic Shield on. Mm-hmm. He didn't get any 6s on his Sludge Breaker Beast. I then proceeded to kill the Breaker Boss back with my attacks. And then the following, and I did this sneaky thing. So I'm playing Iron Suns. So you can see in this picture, he moved his Shaman and his Bolt Thrower to the objective to be within range of it, even though that's still not enough wounds to cap it. And in his charge phase, I burnt a CP and I countercharged it with the Maw Crusher. It was a big charge, so it was like a 6-7, but I made it and I killed both of them. So at the end of his turn 1, he's got a Sludge Raker, 10 Gut Rippers, 3 Bolt Boys left. And I'd lost basically not a lot.
Some wounds.
Some wounds. Model. Yeah. So that's the charge you can see there. You see the counter charge that I did in there. And then that's it. Basically, from that, it was, I then killed his Sludge Raker Beast, all his stuff, and he just had like some Gut Rippers and some Bolt Boys left, and it was basically game over then. So very, very quick game, very decisive, good fun, but I think he should have checkerboarded out more. He should have deployed deeper, knowing that
it takes a lot of balls, but probably the right strat.
Put your Gut Rippers up in a line, checkerboard out, so you're using your deployment, so you're using your deployment like this, and you're forming, and you're basically saying, well, yeah, I'm not getting this buffy, but you can't hit multiple units with one thing.
In your army can hit multiple things, split attacks, and is the lead, isn't as likely to get punished for that.
You do a
which
couple of
most are.
attacks on one thing, and it's if they go through, it's like there's 12
Yeah.
damage, and you're sort of dead then. Plus, the thing is, destructive bulk is actually horrible against this army because you go
Small, elite,
D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. If you kill it, you get to pile in and do it again.
Saves.
So you just go in and go like,
Got
I
a 1 in
stomp
3
on the
chance of
3 bolt
wiping a
boys.
unit. Yeah.
It's like a 33% chance to wipe it out. You
Yeah,
kill
1 in
it,
3.
then you just go, and then you're like, okay. And you know, you've also got the shooting attack from the bellow. So if you bellow the unit first and do a couple wounds, then basically you're making that almost a guarantee on a 2-up. You're going to kill it.
You're really good against this army. You're really good against the new Stormcast with their small elite units, stuff like that. Like, I guess the new destructive bolt is better against smaller things. It's more reliable against less wounds, but it's less damage against more wounds.
It's good against like chaffy stuff that's not going to be in Hunters of the Halfland that you just gets in the way.
Imagine going against Annihilators or something like that.
Yeah, A for wings.
I got a 2-up armor save, and I'm really, really fighting. Cool. But
yeah, so it was a decent game for me.
Like, a comprehensive victory.
Yeah, it was. I said to Mike, like, he had bad luck with his rolls and his poison, which is cruel boys. You know, if you don't spike, you don't spike, but you need to deploy in a way that gives you multiple turns of attempts to spike.
Yeah, if you have to give yourself enough time for the luck to even out if it doesn't start off well.
Yeah, I think he gave me I can't remember because he didn't have anything in range. I think he gave me the turn. I can't remember. I would have taken the turn if he gave me the choice. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Why not?
Because I didn't want him to spread out.
Gobble.
Yeah, big more crusher turkeys.
That destruction life. Cabbage patch.
Yeah, just push it forward and shout war.
So the allotment.
Yeah.
The swamp became an allotment.
Yeah, exactly. How about you then? What was your last game?
Nice. So I played against an Archeon list. Nurgle won. Alex Islands. I've played against Nurgle a surprising amount actually. So I knew how it went, and I was just angry. So I needed to kill something. And Archeon got killed. This one was when Slaanesh works, it can feel quite oppressive, I think. And I actually played blind in this one. I think I played really solidly, and just got my sequencing okay and my allocations fairly solid and stuff like that. And I can't remember if I won the priority or not, but it felt like one of those games where one of the biggest things you got for Slaanesh. Well, there's a couple of things. You don't want to face individual hard shit. It feels pretty bad with Slaanesh. You want to face damagey units that you can be a knobhead on the end of. Like that, it's like you have to. And a lot of my games and my practice has been against Slaves to Darkness and Nurgle, so I play them quite a lot. And the way to make that work is to 5 Hellstriders on the flank of Bunny Plague Bearers, and try and get within 3 of something that is behind them that then can't reach them. And you're not going to do much damage or any damage, or maybe just do 1 damage. And you end up in these situations where like your opponent can't make room for their thing to get through, or only their range 1 attacks can hit, or something like that. And exactly that type of thing ended up happening. So Archeon appeared out here on the board. Sigil came on from the side. He might have failed a Mystic Shield, which, as we know, is always with a big boy or a Lariel or something like that is really quite dangerous. Makes a big difference. So,
I did that. I didn't get Mystic Shield off, and I still pushed the gash into 3 Bloodthirsters. And I was in my head, I was like, listen to yourself, what are you doing? And I was like, it's fine, he's got a big hat, it's fine. Yeah. It wasn't fine.
Yeah. Well, I think this army, what does it do? I mean, if someone wonders, does it reduce rend by 1 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's not easy. I've played against it, and I was confident that I could have a game against it, but it's not a good matchup. Again, I don't want to, Blizzard's reducing damage by 1, or some reducing my Wen by 1, when I've normally only got 1 rend, or 2 on the things that matter, of which there's only 2 rend 2 things in my army, being Sigvold and one of the Keeper's attacks. But I managed to take down Archeon, which of course felt huge, and I had, with a couple of activations, I managed to get the keep it into an incredibly annoying position, exactly how I described, with some plague bearers in the way and Mr. Nurgle, and then the epitome on the front. So there's this kind of big unit of plague bearers here, great unclean one here, keeper here pinning it, and then all the plague bearers which were in a screen, and I was just super up for them being a screen. So I hit a Slopty Bile Piper at the top of a screen. I got the you can't pile in on a 4+ on the plague bearers, and that went off, and I just knew I had the game basically. Like, what are you gonna do? Which is ironically is what he said he'd been doing to other people, stopping people from piling.
Yeah, because the Bile Piper does the same thing, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. So it just went pretty well, really. I think it was and then I don't know if I got the priority, but it was one of those situations where you look at the board and you're like, the moment I was in that position there, I just needed this bit of the board to go okay, or Archeon to die, and both of them happened.
So pretty impressive killing Archeon. Was that just Sigvold going twice, was it? And...
Sigvold twice, and Varangard once, and Bliss Bobs.
I suppose because he doesn't get the after save, and he's got a Rend 2 weapon, right? Sigvold, yeah. Still not.
Didn't get a big charge.
He didn't have Mystic Shield though. That's the big thing.
I can't remember exactly. I think I took a video of it, but he went in. But the Vanguard are the big thing. You know, a couple of mortals going through from one of their attacks and having the option to go again makes a really big difference. And there's a horrible, like, do you want to hit Sigvold back? There's a chance that you don't kill him if you don't get the Slayer of Kings, because he can tank. Or do you attack the Varangard because they haven't fought yet, and they can go twice as well. So you know, it's that's why they're so important in the list. Having multiple things in multiple places that can go twice, if you're choosing, is a really big deal. Really, I didn't put the keeper into combat with him. It's just not
worth it.
No, you have to be very sure he's going to die.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she just dies like that.
It's such a key piece to your army as well.
Yeah, she is. When you lose her, it feels really dreadful.
Well, you've just lost a quarter of your army for something that should probably cost not a quarter of your army.
Yeah.
So then it's an extra point for bringing it down and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that stuff really mounts up as well. But
I find like that kind of stuff's really annoying. I just wish it wasn't in the game. Like extra bonus points and stuff, because like
I think an event should just try not running that bit of the pack. You know,
I think Alex didn't in the first one, did he?
Yeah, use the not fighting at top of your profile, wizard to a monster, and the monster bonuses.
I think the problem is that, like, it's a bit of a side angle. Just as you think about the cost of losing a monster, is that when you do stuff with monsters, you score extra as well, which I think is compounding this hero hammer feel. And like, if an event plays out the book, like, okay, it's your victory points, which is the scenario points you score, being able to score 7 because you're a monster doing it rather than 5 because you don't have a monster over a tournament adds up to probably like 15, 16 bonus points that the other person just can't get, which then in a tie break just pushes you onto it up higher in the rankings, which, to be honest, is you haven't done anything special. You've just done it with a different model, which you've got anyway. It's like,
I think the right at the top of the list of reasons that I think it is, you know, it would be cool if someone house ruled it to not be in effect, is because it stops you from taking some monsters.
Yeah.
Like, I want to take a Chimera. It's a glass cannon. Well, you know, probably going to lose some points for it. And yeah, good point. It's already a big ask to put it in a list anyway, so I won't. Or cockatrice, or Cygors, or, you know, there's quite a lot of things that are monsters that aren't hugely survivable and aren't expensive. So you end up like all your eggs in one expensive elite basket, or a Gargant, which are very good at not giving away their monster point and taking other people's monster points. And then the 200 point monsters, like, how often do you see them in any army now?
Yeah.
Like, you just don't.
This is a Bastille. They 200. It's probably terrifying.
They're 200 and something. They are
280 probably, I think. But
Dags are great. Well, you saw Andy, 6 Dags, 1 Slan. You know, table, like top 5 tables for all the event. Smashing it.
Yeah.
They got a game.
They are good. So victory for you. So you beat your record. The wet dream was there.
Yeah, take it. I set my expectations realistically, so I was aiming for 3, and I got 3, which I was pleased about.
Yeah, I didn't. I got 4 wins, got close to podium. Was very happy with that.
Yeah, it's a really good effort.
Learned a lot.
Did you like it?
Yeah, theory worked really well. So like, I had theoried this out. I'd played a couple playtest games, but I hadn't actually like played it with the amendments and stuff, and I hadn't had it out early or anything. So it was the first time I played with it was at the event. I didn't have any practice. Learned a few things. What I really like about it is just how positive it plays. You control the game. Like you can dictate the state of the board.
You're like, I want to go and do that thing there. Yes, not like I want to stop this.
Which is like good and bad, because basically if you mess that up, you've put yourself on the back foot, but you did it all yourself. Yeah. But then like because I've had games like these before where you do a very aggressive turn, they don't have to think much to react to what you've done. It's just, well, I'm in combat, so I hit you. Do I spend it? You don't have to think too much. It's just like, so I quite like it. I really like Iron Suns for the counter charge. That's really useful.
I think it's incredibly powerful.
I think it's the best one.
It's in your opponent's head in their turn.
Because like, they can't
enough already.
They can't like even stuff like tagging your boss on or like counter charging brutes into or whatever. You know, they just can't isolate you, and also they can't do the weird thing of like, I'll move near the objective but not fight you because I'll fight you anyway. So
completely,
double warlord, getting the bonus points, just burning it for the extra command point when you need it. So going first, you get less command points. You don't really care because you burn one straight away, knowing you're going to play positively. She goes, right, burn my extra command point. It's like I'm going second, so I've got all the points I need to do the combo. Call the war, go in, do loads of damage. You have your go. Best day, the more crush you're going to try and drop, and then from then it's game on. And like, to be honest, like, it feels great when you pull it off. It's really rewarding when you do that and it works. It does lead for very quick games. Like literally, they're like done. Like
you get to talk to your opponent though, right? Which is one of my main issues about recent stuff and why I didn't change my army, because it's quite a lot of stuff going on. You have like an intense turn and then some less intense turns.
And like takeaways are Iron Skull Boys are really good value, but not being battle line is an issue. Ard Boys in a 10's fine. 15 would be better, but points. Brutes are trash.
I was going to ask this: are they 10 or no?
I think they're 10 or pigs. If they were battle line, because I don't think Gargants are battle line. They should play in Bloodtooth.
Yeah, they're battle line.
If you're playing Bloodtooth, Gargants are better, especially with the FAQ, because they're now Ren 2 on the reach weapon, which they should have been anyway, but they are now.
Oh, cool.
So because the FAQ for Ironjawz and Stormcasters dropped now. So one of the key things of the command ability from the Ironjawz is the way it works now is that you get to, whereas before there was some question about if I hit you and you do all that defense, because the other units you're hitting haven't been targeted, can they do it? And so the way it's worded, you'd say, well, actually the rulebook overwrites the requirement. So the requirement is you hit me, I can do it, and
I've been targeted.
The book says you can issue it to multiple units, so it kind of does work. But what they've changed the rule to make it clearer. I will double check this because I've not checked it since I've seen the pre-play test one. So I'm assuming it's the same. So I'll just quickly whack it up. It's a good little bit of a segue. So the ear split in bellow, if the unit issues the command ability up to 2 times in the same phase, or 3 times if it's a more crusher, it can be received by Ironjawz unit. So basically you can issue it and it doesn't cost you any points. So it does the same thing, but it's a little bit better because you don't have to use it. So you can say like, I'll do all that defense, and then you attack another unit, go, I'll do all that defense, or you can go, actually I won't, because I don't think you're going to do much, I'm going to do all that attack. So you actually you get a better return on it because it's you have to track it. So if you pop it and then you're like, well, actually I don't need to use it unless I so it's
like 3 counters down and remove it if you use it.
So they've changed that. They've added Cruel Boy to the Marsh Crawler Slug Off because obviously, and the Gore Grunter's weapon's got Rend 2 on it, so that's basically all that's changed. And then you've got God Drax, the same thing with the command ability. So just that command ability has changed. So
no Rogue Idol keyword changes for swamp encrusted weapons.
They're not in Orruk Warclans.
I know.
It's not going to get the Orruk keyword, is it? It's not an Orruk. It's a big pile of rocks.
Well, it's the most orky Orruk ever.
It's not an Orruk, is it?
It's the embodiment of their magical energy.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it literally is. That's what it is.
I did find a picture while you were talking. I found a picture of Jack's army, which is very nice. It's like grey and lavary, and his Kragnos is actually really nice. It reminds. Yeah, it's a very nice army. So that's the event. Went really well, I think. Really good. Yeah. Props to Alex. If you do get a chance to go to a Carnage, do it because he runs it really well. I'm really shocked that he can do it on his own because it's kind of
shout out to Gabe for giving him a huge amount of help. On Sunday as well.
Which was massively appreciated because that's always the hard bit, doing the army judging and stuff where you've got to do the other stuff. So I got a horrible trophy for best destruction, which is like a finger. I'm not going to show because I want to give people nightmares. It did come with a very nice little mug, which I do like. That was very nice. And yeah, it was a good event. Ironjawz, love it. You're still persevering with your pink dudes.
Yeah, I am. And I did. I went to another event with them. So we'll see how that went. But yeah, I might have been the problem rather than the army.
At the other event, yeah. I think so. And yeah, so
potential.
That about wraps up for this video. Sorry it's been a little bit quiet on the channel. Still painting and decorating and trying to get the studio ready. So that's why I've been a bit busy. But we will be releasing a bit more. Yeah, you've been doing proper businessy things. As opposed to me being covered in emulsion paint and then dying from backache. So we'll have some other videos coming out. I've got some Stormcast videos. I want to do some list techs, talking about the lists that have podiumed, and also I've got a Bastion list I want to talk about with Hallowed Knights, which will coming out in the next week or so. And then obviously we went to the Warhammer World event, which was awesome.
It was great. They should never raise the capacity.
That's what I was thinking. As long as you can get a ticket,
you're fine. Warhammer World event I've been to.
Yeah. So we'll do a video on that, but that was fantastic weekend. So I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, loads of good quality of life changes. So it's I think it's the first event for AOS he's been able to run because of the COVID stuff and not having any, and then so it's
started off on the right foot. Tables look nuts. Like you get the experience you should expect now.
Prestigious.
For the first time.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
For the I think it feels like you're at a higher level prestigious event.
Like proper on-site catered food from competent, not ad hoc staff. Like all the bells and whistles. Wasn't too loud, which is great. I didn't come back feeling like I'd developed gamer flu from hugely echoey stuff and people's inability to use indoor voices, which is a gamer trait, let's face it, and stuff like that. So like really, really positive and interesting games.
Yeah, I had some interesting games too. So we will talk about that in another video. But thanks for watching this. I think objective markers should be back in stock soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch this space. They are on order in all regards. So next 3 weeks they should be landing.
Yeah, so they will be slightly different and slightly cheaper because the 6-inch, the sort of smaller rings aren't really required. And you don't need 8 objectives, so we've amended it for AOS 3 and we've dropped the price of them. So we'll give you more details.
Out on the table, and there's plenty, so they're really useful and they're lovely.
Yeah, and they'll be available to order soon. Thanks everyone who's supporting the channel through Patreon. I know that there's been a lot going on there. We do have some plans for that. So I've got some merchandise on the way for people who've been signed up, and also we've got some video content which will be exclusive. So we're going to have some, and then once the studio is finished, I was actually painting it today, I will be doing kind of like Patreon videos about gaming list tech stuff, some game reports. So James Box is going to be regular, and Breakspear and people can be regular opponents of mine.
Can I come too?
You can, yeah, if you fancy a long ass drive. So yeah, you're more than welcome. So we can do some games and do a little bit more like theory and stuff out on the table rather than just talking about it. And then so it's you can do some live
stream
stuff,
as well.
Yeah,
set up a specific deployment and say, right, what would each of us do here and why? I think that'd be
yeah, exactly. And so got some big plans for that. So thanks to everyone who's still supporting the show, hasn't withdrawn their support or anything like that. So I do apologize for the quietness of the channel, but it is coming, and also join the Discord and all that kind of stuff, and watch this space. Should be up and running for December for the studio. So
I've got a campaign that I'm going to be playing in as well. So I'm going to be not narrative. Don't expect that from me.
Path to Glory, right? Turn it off.
Yeah, no. Which is a great thing, but I'll never play it. I've got I think we're doing it like a round robin 10 or 11 locals. Everyone plays everyone tournament that I'm going to be doing. Well,
sweet
long termish one that I'll be doing. So I'll record every game of that, and then people can see the progress that I've been having. I'll do like an end of turn synopsis each time I play a game. Should be quite interesting.
And I've got a Cruel Boys army I'm working on. So I'm hoping to get that on the table, get some theory on that, because that's really intriguing me at the moment. That's kind of tickling my balls.
I've read the living shit out of Big War as well. Like a good 7 hours of reading and keyword checking and referencing and stuff like that.
Just saying, Orruk Warclans book is fucking great. So
it is. 3/4 of it is super excellent, and then I'm really sad about Big Stabbers.
I still think the Bone Splitters is good. I think there's lists. There's lists.
Oh, there's some properly surprising lists, and I reckon I'm one of the few armies that could actually just nope the dragon list from Stormcast, which sounds very weird to say, but I do think they have significant game against it.
Yeah. And if you missed it, new pre-orders this weekend. This video will probably be out after the pre-order time window, but click through the link, support us. We do appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who's checked out this video, and we'll catch you all again in the next one. Like and subscribe, and do the algorithm thing. Help us to keep doing content for you to enjoy.
All right, then. Catch you in a bit, guys.
Thanks. See you later, guys.
Bye.